You've had an idea, you tried it once, maybe twice. It didn't work, and quietly, without ever really deciding to, you let it die. Here's a fact that might sting a little. Researchers who studied who actually finishes what they start, cadets at West Point, kids at the National Spelling Bee, found that persistence predicted success better than talent did. Grit, not gift. But here's the part nobody puts on the poster. Persistence only works on a real goal, pursued with a method you're willing to change. Not a vague wish, repeated the same losing way forever. Today, 4 people who refused to quit, what they actually did differently, not just tried harder, and how you use this without wasting years chasing a goal that was never real to begin with. Every success story you've ever seen is compressed. The photo, the headline, the one good year. What's edited out is everything underneath. The rejections, the bad apartment, the years where nothing worked and nobody was watching. You only ever see the tip. So when your own attempt doesn't work on the first try, of course it feels like proof that you're not cut out for it. You're comparing your first chapter to someone else's last one. Keep that in mind for the next few minutes, because every person you're about to meet spent years underwater before anyone ever saw them at the surface. Picture a man in his 60s. His restaurant just failed. A new highway got built, and it routed every customer away from his town overnight. Everything he had was gone, so he took his pressure cooker, his fried chicken recipe, and got in his car. He drove to restaurant after restaurant, pitching the idea of franchising it, and restaurant after restaurant said no. Some accounts put the number of rejections well into the hundreds. Here's what mattered more than the number, though. He wasn't repeating the identical pitch, hoping the 1,000th try would magically land. He adjusted the deal, the terms, the recipe itself. Same goal, a different attempt every single time. That difference is the whole chapter. A single mother on state assistance, writing longhand at a cafe table in Edinburgh because her apartment was cold and her daughter was finally asleep in the stroller beside her. She had a finished manuscript about a boy wizard, and 12 publishers, one after another, said no. Notice what she didn't do. She didn't decide her goal was become a successful author, some huge foggy thing with no edges. Her goal was narrow and it was concrete. Finish this book. Get this book published, small enough to actually aim at. Publisher 13, Bloomsbury, said yes, and you already know what happened after that. Quick pause. If this is landing, tap like and subscribe. It's a small thing for you, and it genuinely helps this find someone who needs to hear it today. Okay, 2 more stories. Before there was a mouse, there was a young man fired from a newspaper job. His editor's exact words were that he lacked imagination. He started his own animation studio anyway. It went bankrupt, everything gone again. Here's the part worth sitting with. He didn't treat that bankruptcy as a verdict on who he was. He treated it as information about the business, what the audience wanted, what the studio had gotten wrong, what to build differently next time. The failure was data, not a sentence. That's the only reason there was a next time at all. He co-founded a company in a garage, and at 30 years old, he was pushed out of it by his own board, publicly, by his own account. It was humiliating. Most people, at that point, would call the goal dead. He didn't come back to the same job. In the same way, a few months later, he built something new. Next, he grew a small animation outfit into Pixar. Years passed, and when he did return to the company he'd started in 1997, he came back with more range, more scars, more perspective than the version of him who got pushed out. Sometimes, never giving up doesn't look like a straight line back. It loops through completely different work first. So, what about a goal that's just silly, unfalsifiable? Go viral. Have everyone like me. Here's the filter, and it's the whole point of this video. A real goal is concrete. You'd know the exact day you reached it. A real goal is yours to move. Your own actions actually change the odds, and a real goal leaves you willing to change the method while keeping the goal itself fixed. A compass pointing at one true place, even while the path bends. A vague, unfalsifiable goal is a treadmill. You can run on it for years, and never giving up just means staying tired in the exact same spot. So here's the practice, not just the theory. Pick one real goal, something you'd know the day you actually hit it. Then define specifically what one more attempt looks like this week. And before you make that attempt, change one variable from last time. The pitch, the format, the person you ask, not blind repetition. One deliberate adjustment. That's what Sanders did in every town. That's the difference between quitting and simply not stopping. Knowledge without practice is just entertainment, so don't close this and forget it by tomorrow. Tonight, name the one real goal you quietly gave up on, not the vague one, the real one, and decide the one thing you'll do differently on your next attempt. Not harder, different. Run it once. Honestly, this week. That's the whole ask. I'll see you in the next one.